Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike, and the stage with me today we have Brandon.
Hello.
And Nick is a slave to his job. That is where he is today. So, but we got lots to talk about.
Shame.
Or he's playing Pokemon. Just not, not just trying to hide it from us. Could be that too. But we got plenty to talk about now that we're back. So we got new things.
Yeah, I actually saw a movie that I wanted to mention as well. I forgot all about it.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine. You ready to get into it?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Okay. I'll go first because I actually
I got a lot of stuff, so you go ahead.
Yeah. Well, one game is newer. We had a chance to talk about it yet. I got the Great Ace Attorney, which was the new, I don't know, Phoenix Wright series game. Doesn't have Phoenix Wright in it, but it is that series.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like his ancestors. Maybe. So, but I haven't, it's interesting. I have had a lot of free time, but I haven't had a lot of time to play this because it's not an easy game to, like a lot of games you can pick up and play for maybe 15, 30 minutes and get some progress done. But I mean, I know you played these games before. Like these aren't really ones you can do that with. So it's just my blocks of time have been suitable for this game. But I got through like a case and a half so far.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. I do like it. Pretty interesting. Because it's set back like when, I don't know, the olden days. I don't remember if they even said a year. It would be Sherlock Holmes era, which would be like what? Late 1800s, early 1900s would be my guess.
Okay.
Maybe I'm way off. I don't know. Japan and Britain are just starting a relationship, and you don't have like newfangled things. You got Sherlock Holmes running around doing things.
Wonderful.
I know, and just that whole kind of mechanic was interesting. Actually, the one thing I thought was that really kind of cool on the one trial, like the first trial. So it's not really like much of a spoiler. You'll figure it out because it's not really anything. I just thought it was an interesting touch. But like when they had this English woman speaking at the trial, and like she was speaking like in this weird, like kind of like unreadable cursive language, and it clicked on me later that she was actually speaking in English, and that's why I didn't understand this. So they had someone that's actually interpreting her English for her.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay.
I like that. I like that English is cursive to this game.
Yeah, it was like, but it was not like legible. Some of the words were, but like a lot of them weren't. And so you realize that like the words that you're reading are supposed to be them like their thoughts in Japanese.
Them trying to understand it, but they can't really. Okay.
Yeah. And so when she's actually speaking in English, they might pick up a word here or there, like hello or whatever. But for the most part, they don't understand what she's saying. And I was like, oh, it's kind of. I'm like, I like the way that they did that. It's kind of, it makes sense because that's how it would be. But it just kind of, you don't really think about it until like you see it play out, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. So, but so far the case has been interesting. The characters have been relatable. I like what I've been playing, and people have been saying, I guess it's like a very accessible Phoenix Wright series game, and that seems to be true from what I've seen so far. I mean, a lot of the other games do kind of carry over some story points from the old games. Usually, maybe not until like the climax trial, but there's usually like some holdovers there. And this one, you don't have any of that. So that's kind of nice. The way it's set up is kind of nice. And even in the settings too, I guess, if you wanted to, I don't know why you would. You can actually have the game basically play itself for you and just read it like a visual novel. So that was
cool. That sounds neat.
Yeah. And just as I said, there's options there. So it's good. I mean, and then you have your whole, like obviously the trial stuff is pretty much the same way it was before. They did integrate some stuff that was in Layton versus Phoenix Wright, where it's like you might have multiple people on the stand at the same time. So, maybe one person's talking, but the other person will do a reaction, and you kind of just have to pull that out. But that was a nice touch. You have like kind of, it's not quite like what they would do in the other ones, but they do have like some, during the investigative scenes, there's kind of like these, I forget what they call them, but it's like a Herlock Sholmes. He's like doing this like deduction thing, but it's like wrong, and so you go in and correct him. Kind of reminds me of what they do with like the
He's just
psychological
like, you're
stuff.
shit at your job. Here, let me fix it.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. That's pretty much verbatim what they say. They don't say you're shit at your job though. They're like, he's very astute, but it seems like he's not quite connecting the dots. Like, let's go in and fix this for him. So that's what they do, and it actually it plays out really interestingly well. It's surprisingly cinematic the way that they do it, and it has a nice flow, and it helps bring the case together a bit more. Like I like that better than what they had done in the past with like the investigative areas. So I think that's pretty nice. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like if you played a Phoenix Wright game, like you know the core of this game. You got the trial stuff you're going on. You get the evidence. You know, sometimes evidence is like you got to investigate the evidence to find the evidence you're looking for. Like maybe something's hidden on the back of an object. Like those kind of things are still there. You know, they have some like visual cues. Like maybe someone does like a weird facial thing when they're talking, and you're like, oh, something's off. You know. Or in the investigative scenes, it's like you're looking around the room and just trying to like piece things together. Like it's good if you like that kind of visual novel thing. I think it's great. If you like games, right? I think it's a great entry into the series. I like these characters in this game a lot.
Okay.
So far, like I think it's very interesting what they do, and like the second case, one that I'm in right now is kind of like it's a locked room mystery, which I think is very interesting. Like this way this is coming together. Do you know what I mean by a locked room mystery is?
Like a fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an escape room kind of thing? Or like
I mean kind of I guess, but it's like so in the second case there's a murder, but it happens inside of a locked room.
Okay.
So it's like theoretically nothing outside the room should be able to affect anything inside the room. You know what I mean? So like the murder and everything should be inside the room. So it's like figuring it out like that. So just the way that that's been coming together has been pretty interesting. They kind of like had like a pseudo deduction to it just when I stopped a couple hours ago, but it seems like there's a lot of missing information still. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
Okay.
And even too, they still do this, you know, the kind of things where it's just like in the other games, at least just to kind of propel the narrative where they're like, if you're on trial and you can't like, you're like, I'm definitively innocent, but you haven't like solved the case, you know, it's still like you're guilty, basically. Like, well, you haven't proved it was anyone else. So I guess it's still you, even though we know it's not you. So whatever, fuck off. So yeah, but I mean, it's good. I'm enjoying it. And I don't really have much more to say about it unless you have any question.
No, not really. I mean, it seems it's pretty bog standard, you know, by the number sort of deal. It just sounds like it's probably just a solid title overall.
Yeah. If you are playing on handheld too, you can use touch controls too.
Okay.
It's always a nice touch. Not like every game needs them, but if it's there, it's there. You know, kind of deal. So, and the other thing I've been playing, I don't know why. Kind of why. I know. But I picked up Civ 6 again.
Okay.
I downloaded the Frontier Pass, which was like I don't know if you remember, after the last expansion pass, they decided to do like a season pass of sorts. Where they're like, oh, every couple of months we're going to add like a couple new civilizations, a couple of new items, and like a couple of new game modes. And I was like, whatever. And Nintendo did this multiplayer sale thing this last week, and they had it down to $25. And I was like, oh, that's more like what I would want to spend on it. And then I saw that I had like $10 worth of gold coins anyways. So I was like, okay. I'm like, what? That brings it down to 15. That's even better. I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. So I downloaded it and I played it. Like too, when I travel, like sometimes I like to go through and be like, oh, you know, like these are the places. This is where I just was. I'm like, I'll do like the civilization. So I was just in Charleston this last week. So I was like, I'll play as America. And this is when I was Teddy Roosevelt. So, you know, you're going through and you're making your cities and stuff. But some of the new modes are actually kind of interesting. Like I didn't try all of them because obviously a Civ game takes forever to play just one. And you can kind of like stack the modes, it looks like. You can have multiple different modes running on top of your normal game. Like the one that I turned on was Secret Societies. So you can you could find secret societies in the game, and they can give you like special abilities or whatever to help. And that was kind of interesting. There's a bunch of different ones, I guess, and different civilizations that will also like add dynamically. Maybe civilization won't like you because of the secret society you picked or whatever. So, and like secret societies, I mean like things like the Freemasons or the Illuminati, like those kind of things, you know?
Okay.
So those are there. But just in general, just tweak wise, it seemed like they tweaked a bunch of stuff in the game to make it run a bit smoother. Like they added a bunch of new stuff since the last time I played it. I mean, considering what Civ 6 was when it came out to now, like it's an entirely different game. Like there's nothing even remotely similar anymore. So, well, I mean, I guess there's some remotely similar things, but yeah, no, it's just it's a nice big change. So they got that. What are some of the other modes they got? They got zombies. They have a zombie mode now. I don't know how that one worked, but it sounded interesting. Like I guess you got to defend yourself from the zombies and the other civilization, things like that. So I don't know. It's just got some neat touches. I like it. Although when I was playing, I'm like I said, I'm America and Canada's there, and we're like we're at the end. We're like racing to launch the rocket first, and I have this pretty a couple turn lead. I'm like pretty close to the end, and then all of a sudden like the game just ends, and I was like, what the fuck happened? Well, Germany won out of nowhere. Okay. Like, oh, cultural victory. I was like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? I'm like, I built like pretty much every world wonder that it was, but I wasn't paying attention to some of the different metrics that were going on, and so they were getting like all this like tourism bonus, and like I wasn't doing anything to stop it, so they were just pretty much unchecked, and they just like cleared the game, and I was like, that's fucked up, because it really sucks when you get to this game and you get to the end, like it's like turn 420 and you just lose out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, this was like hours upon hours just to lose. That sucks. And so I was pretty salty about it. So I found I had a save file that was like 100 turns before that. It was the best one that I had. I'm like, I'm going to fix this. So I went back and I fixed it, and I won. But it was a nail biter. Because the thing is, like, Civ is like the butterfly effect of the game. Like, there's so many different mechanics going on. And even if you play things the same way, not necessarily all going to come back together the same way. So it's like, I took the steps to kind of mitigate Germany. And I was like, okay, so I'm like, that should be good now. I'm like, I should just be able to train roll Canada to get this rocket and win this game. Well, no, it was not like that.
Train roll Canada. Gotta love it.
Yeah, maybe that will be the title of this episode. But so anyways, so they ended up taking the lead, and I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be tight. And they were just pedal to the floor, but then they got sloppy, and I was able to just narrowly beat them. Like they launched the way you get the science victory in this one, and I think it even changed from like the base Civ 6. Is like you have to launch a expedition to another planet, and it's got to travel 50 light years before it does. So they launched it, and it only travels 1 light year per turn. But you can do stuff to speed it up.
Okay.
But they didn't do that. They were just letting it slow boat its way through. So it's like a countdown of 50 turns at that point. I launched mine like 10 turns after them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I'm 10 light years behind. But then you can launch these things that speed it up. And yeah, I pulled it out, and it was pretty close. It was just nail biter. But I would say if you like Civ 6, I don't know. You played the base Civ 6, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Did you do any of the expansions though?
No, I've not played a single one of them.
Yeah. So if you liked it, they did. Like it's a drastically different game, but they added a ton of shit. Like even the last expansion. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I'm not gonna try. They added all like
the last expansion.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's the best way to put it. Because they added all that like climate change stuff. Like the end game's completely different. Like one of my cities are like they're getting flooded. Like I don't know, volcanoes are exploding. Like I don't know, I had a meteorite fall all of a sudden, and it's just all like the random shit that happens. So I said it's interesting. Like all the stuff that's in there, and you're never gonna get a game that goes exactly the same. And I said, even when I rewound my game like 100 turns, like most of my stuff was pretty much locked in, but it's just like the random events that happens as it progresses through can make a big effect on like how it goes through. Like part of mine was like all of a sudden, like I had a tornado brew up. The entire time I played the last game, I never saw a tornado, and all of a sudden, like tore up and did things. And actually, another thing too is one of the civilizations started sending spies to one of my cities, and they like overthrew my capital. Not like completely overthrew, but they surrounded it with like barbarians. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh fuck! I have all this like the civil unrest to deal with that I wasn't planning on, that I didn't have to deal with before. So it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of fun to see how it like all falls together. So you got that. But I'd say, yeah, if you like it, check it out. The Frontier Pass, a lot more interesting than I expected it to be. So
okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna jump back into it again right away, because that last one was kind of draining. Like this is the thing with the Civ games; they're so long. You know, like basically one playthrough is like, oh, you got your money worth out of it right here. So
understandable.
I'm sure I'll be back to it eventually. I'm trying to think what else. I bought a new SD card for my Switch.
Ooh.
I know. I did the 1 terabyte. Finally dropped down to a price that was more reasonable than what it had been.
How much did you pay for it?
$150.
Oh, okay. That's actually not bad.
No, it's not. I filled my 400 gigabyte up, and at first I wasn't gonna upgrade because I'm like, oh, the Switch Pro is gonna be coming out soon. I'd rather spend money on that. And now that it's clear that it's not coming out anytime soon, I was like, well, I'll do it. I'm like, but I'm like, I want to see the price go down. I think at that time it was still like around 200.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Yeah, and I'm just like that. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, I might as well just get another system at that point. But I was like, I do want more space. But I'm like, I was hard. I'm like, absolutely nothing above 150. Period. So,
okay.
So I go down to 149.99, and I was like, done.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but it's a pain in the butt to switch over the stuff with Mac because there's some issue with it where you can't just copy and paste it like you used to be able to.
That's weird.
Yeah, so I swapped out the cards and just have been re-downloading everything, which isn't really an issue. It does it in the background, and I prioritize which ones I wanted to play first, like Phoenix Wright or whatever. But it's been 3 days, still chugging along. So yeah, that's it. But I got the new amiibo, the new Monster Hunter Stories amiibo.
Oh, nice. There you go.
They look great. That's it. I don't think I have anything else.
All right then.
Yeah. Want to talk about your exciting purchase?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about the movie first, or do you want me to go into the purchases and stuff?
Oh, whatever you want. I don't care.
Well, no, I'm letting you pick.
Oh, fuck you, Brandon. I guess talk about your purchases first.
Okay. So, yesterday actually, I saw at like 8 in the morning that no, it was 10 in the morning. Sorry, that like GameStop had sent me an email that said something about them giving the same cash as credit and everything. I was like, all right, well, that's neat, but why are they doing it? And then I saw all of the new consoles were in stock, and I was like, huh. Now let me put this into perspective. A few months ago, I could trade a PS4 Pro in and get like 89 to like maybe $100 for a PS4 Pro. And same with like, and the PS4 Slim was like $70, something like that. Chump change, that sort of thing. I was able to get $350 for trading those two in. So because of the cash same as credit, and also I guess they're like hurting for older systems, so they're giving a lot right now for the systems. I think it's like 150 and like 200. So there's that. So there was an issue because one of my controllers had stick drift, and I didn't notice it because it's just been in what do you call it, in storage. So they were just like, yeah, we're going to like buy a new controller to place with this, so I'll have to deduct that from it. So it's like, okay, what, I lose like $40. All right, fine, whatever. I still got a lot more than I would have. But in store, they didn't have any of the consoles. So I was like, fuck. So I looked online before leaving to go do the whole cash same as credit thing. And I saw that Target actually had the Xbox Series S, which I said on this podcast a while back that if I can buy a Series S for retail price, I'll do it. Because I don't need a Series X, because I have my PS5 for like the big titles, that sort of thing. That's my 4K gaming machine. But I would like a Series S for like Game Pass games. And for like games that I want to play.
Game Pass anyway,
exactly. So I was like, I would like that, because it'd be just simpler, easy. If the game doesn't work very well on PC, I just boot it up on the Series S and then boom, playing in 1440p, 60 FPS, let's go. And that was my initial thought. And lo and behold, I was able to make a payment online, and it said the system would be in stock and available in 2 hours at my
Ooh.
local Target. So I made that payment. Then I went to GameStop, traded in those systems, got the cash for them, and then I took the cash and put that back into my card to replace the money I made the payment on for the Xbox Series S. So I actually came out with like $50 more on my card than I initially had by doing it that way.
That's pretty
And
good.
I still have more stuff that I can trade in actually, but I'm not going to yet. I'm thinking about it though. Moving on from that, I tested the system out like all of yesterday after getting it. So questions, I'm sure you have some, and I can give you some information on the system itself if you'd like
Yeah.
me to do so.
Yeah, of course. What's your favorite part about it so far?
It's just so easy from
Mm-hmm.
setting it up to the way how quickly it installs games to the fact that Microsoft seems to be way better at downscaling the download sizes than Sony is. I've installed about 12 games on my system at this point. 3 of those are Series XS titles, which means they have either like the ability for ray tracing, 120 FPS, 60 FPS at 4K or 1440p, those sort of deals. So I've installed like those games, and I still have 150 gigabytes left, and I started with 354. So
Oh, okay.
like,
That's pretty good.
so that's a really good amount for like 12 games, basically.
What does it do? Does it just like partially install it, or
No,
is
it's
it
the
just
whole
that's how
thing.
much
They're
data?
just that good at compressing the downloads.
That's
I
good.
guess because of the way that the system is made to like be backwards compatible and update every game. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Which that just made things a lot easier for me. So one of the other things that I thought was the absolute best was literally I installed Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon because like that's one of my favorite games
Yeah.
currently in this next generation, quote unquote. And I installed that game, and as you know, I already have played that game on both PC and PS5. Obviously, my PlayStation 5 save isn't going to carry over, but it literally found my PC save the second I booted it on my Series S and transferred my PC save over in 2 seconds, and I was playing exactly where I left off on PC.
Oh, that's pretty wicked, actually.
Yeah, it was nuts, and it's the same for other games. So like I installed Ascent, the Ascent, which I talked about the other week, which I played more of now. My PC save immediately transferred over, so did my characters and everything. It was so fucking fast and easy. It was like nothing basically. Um, Art of Rally, another game that released yesterday on Game Pass. My PC save for that transferred over immediately. It's just if there was one thing, and I have 15 games, not 12 games installed. If there was one thing I could say about the Series S and just this next generation of Microsoft consoles is everything is so simplistic that like it's just great. I'm very happy with the purchase already. Yeah, I don't have really any complaints. I like the idea of being able to jump in and out of 5 different titles at any given moment in time. So like I have the system booted up right now. I'm clicking Katamari Damacy. I'm inside Katamari Damacy now, right? And then I just press the button to go to games and apps. I'm gonna click Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon says quick resume. Like a Dragon says press A button. I press the A button. I'm in Like a Dragon. It's like that. I jumped in and out of 2 games in like
That's really
less
good.
than 5 seconds, and I can jump right back to the other one without even doing anything. Quick resume, Katamari Damacy, in the game already. All right, it's such an ease of access for everything, and the fact that I can just jump between all these different games that I'm playing makes
And how
everything
about the
way
like
better in my
time to
opinion.
play from when you start the downloads? Because it does do the thing where you can start playing early, right?
It does. I never like doing that because most of the time that's just like tutorial stuff. And
Yeah.
if there are games I've already played, then I don't need to play through the tutorial again, or I've already played it on my PC, so it doesn't really matter. I can tell you that the time to download is like maybe 25% of what the normal download would be. Also, if you just turn your system off, that's considered putting it into rest mode. So the games will just download in the background as well. So I found like the PlayStation 5, like the Switch, if I just put a game into quote unquote rest mode, it just downloads so much quicker anyway. So I don't really mess with the the game's ready to play function here. It doesn't really appeal to me because I don't really care about the you get to play the tutorial and learn how to play the game while you wait for the rest of the game to download. That's never been something I liked. It just seems kind of useless.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The like actual what's the word I'm looking for? Like the menus and like going into like the Game Pass categories and everything is super snappy. Everything's like laid out here and there's just so many fucking games. I even like when I first booted this, let me actually jump out of this game. Let's go home. So like when I first booted this, something I noticed was under my library it said like owned games. I have like 103, and it like picked up literally all my Xbox 360 games,
oh,
like just
nice.
all of them. They're
Mhm.
all on here. So like I've got like Crackdown 1 and 2, I've got Castlevania, Lords of Shadows, Burnout Paradise, Banjo Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, Banjo Tooie, Banjo Kazooie Normal, Battlefield 1943. Forza Horizon 3, 4, Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Judgment, like all of them are just in here. And I didn't have to do anything other than sign into my account and it found every single one of my games like instantly.
That's good. That's how
So
easy it should be. Really.
it really should.
Mhm.
I think things are a lot more difficult with the PlayStation 5 and setting it up to like, oh, let's download the PS5 version of the game. Like here, it's just any version of this game that you download is the Series S/X version, but they have a little S/X on the game covers
Mhm.
when you go to download them if they have those special features. So it's like it still denotes like oh, this game has special features in it if it has X/S on the cover of the game before you download it.
So it's just going to
Otherwise,
basically take you to the best version of the game.
we know every version's the same thing. It's just
Okay.
if it has an XS on it, that just means since you have an X or S, you have access to the
Those
features
extra
of those
features.
system. Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
you're saying like PlayStation, you have to like choose between the 4 or 5 versions.
Correct. That's correct.
That's dumb.
And sometimes you actually end up downloading both, which is
That's
really obnoxious.
Yeah, I think that happened to Nick, didn't it? Where he was
Mm-hmm.
like, it had both versions on the system,
No, he
slogging up space.
downloaded the PS4 version and he thought the game wasn't running well, and it's because he accidentally downloaded the PS4 version.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
really good.
I mean, it's just very convenient and it works incredibly well, and I've been having a lot of fun playing games on it. Um, I guess like one of the other major things that I don't see a lot of people talking about, at least when I see people talking about these systems, is the new controller, because like no one's like mentioning it because it is a new controller, which I'm surprised no I've not heard anyone talk about. I mean, at least I'm coming from the original Xbox One, so maybe they did this with like the Xbox One S or One X and I didn't know it, but I'm fairly sure they didn't. There's like grips and on the new controller for the Xbox Series X/S, and that controller, the controller grips have like all these little like bumps that kind of make it feel rough, but also your hand sits on the controller and like you know exactly like the best placement to have your hand in. Just like my brain goes to being like, oh yeah, I should hold it like this and that sort of thing. Obviously I can hold it differently if I wanted, like move my hand somewhere, but like my hand just kind of fits in these little grooves where like even the trigger button have that bumpy feeling where it's like, okay, I'm on the right trigger right now, and also this feels nice. My hand just rests here and it just feels right. That's like the only way I can really describe it. It's weird though. Another thing that I really dig about this is, like I was saying, you know, they had all those Xbox 360 games and whatnot, and I could just download those and instantly play them. But I had like Perfect Dark, like the original Perfect Dark, and I installed it on here, and like it just works. It just plays like immediately, like it's meant to be on the console, that sort of deal. So it's like, okay, it's the Xbox Live arcade game from back on Xbox 360, but like it just feels really good, really solid, and I don't remember the original Xbox 360 version feeling as solid as this is. So like even those past games, like the Xbox 360 arcade games and everything, like those titles even just feel better to play on here. So yeah, it's really nice. I don't regret this purchase in any way whatsoever. I mean, maybe in the future when it's like, oh, I don't have the special ray tracing update for this game or whatever, I'll be like, whatever. But at the same time, I am seeing a lot of games that do release the ray tracing update for Series S as well as X, and yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. So, looking
Is there
forward to
anything you
trying
think
it.
they could do better? Like, I know you said you really didn't have any
Um,
complaints, but
let me think for a second. I would say maybe maybe like the menus a bit. Like yeah, I can get in and out of the menus and get to things quickly and everything, but they're still kind of designed like the Xbox One menus were, which is kind of a
annoying.
mess in my
Yeah.
opinion and not that great, where you have to go to multiple hubs. And also, for instance, whenever I go into like the store on the Xbox One S or X or anything, this is just a overall Xbox problem, I think, that should be addressed. It seems like it wants to show me the top games and not let me look at just every single game they have released. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like, it like starts me by being like, these are our top games. These are games that are on sale. And like, it's so difficult to get to like, okay, well, I want to see all of the games. I want to see every single game I can purchase, be it from Xbox 360, Xbox Original, Xbox One, or one with a Series X/S update. It's way more difficult than it needs to be to get to that point when browsing the store. But it's always been that way since the Xbox One. So I think that's just an overall Microsoft fault there.
Yeah, their menus have always been
They're
a
bad.
mess.
They're just
Yeah.
not good.
No, I have the hardest time navigating around that system.
hmm I do
Probably more
too.
than anything. Yeah.
Like Game Pass, they've done a really good job with getting all that stuff condensed in the way it needs to be, basically.
Hmm.
So like that I haven't got a problem with, but like if it comes to like, I want to maybe purchase a game, let's see what games they have for the Xbox. Oh, and it's a lot harder to actually look through and find specifically Xbox original titles or specifically games that are this or that sort of thing. It's like, oh, you can go and search by genre, but it's like, okay, well, how about you just let me search by every single game you have on here that's free to play? Nope, we only get to see the top games that are free to play. And you know what those are going to be. They're going to be Warframe. They're going to be, Fortnite. They're going to be Call of Duty Warzone. But it's like, well, let me see what else you have on here. You know what I mean? Like I want to see the
Yeah.
obscure weird shit you have. And it's a lot harder to do that on the Xbox One, I feel, than it is on like other consoles in general.
Yeah. No, it's a mess. I remember when I set my Xbox One up again last year,
Mhm.
like just getting it reset up again was just a pain. I was
Yeah,
like, I don't know
I
what
don't think
anything
it
is.
like I don't think setting it up is difficult anymore. I do think it's way easier to set up. Like even out of the box, this system literally was like, "Hello, if you've have an Xbox account in the past, then just sign in with your smartphone to your account and then input the code that your smartphone gives you, and we'll carry over all of your settings." I was like, "Damn, that's really nice." I didn't
That is
do it,
nice. Mhm.
but like that's a really nice option. So like, yeah. It did carry over all my like graphics settings, like how I had my TV set up, but I
Mhm.
was using a different monitor to play this Series S, so that didn't really appeal to me either. But so I set that up on my own. But it did have the option for that sort of deal. So I was like, that's really cool. That's a really nice like ease of access option. Um, uh, this isn't a bad thing. This is actually a good thing. Do you know what variable refresh rate is?
Vaguely.
Okay, so essentially what variable refresh rate is something on PC that things like G-Sync monitors use or like FreeSync monitors. And obviously, I've mentioned before that I have those. And the Xbox Series S just accepts that. So like I can literally make it so it runs at a variable refresh rate. So if any game drops below a certain frame rate, it doesn't matter because the variable refresh rate of my monitor will kick in with my Xbox and actually adjust the frame rate differences and that sort of thing and make it run more smooth.
That's nice.
So like that's an option out the box in this. I think that's also on the original Xbox One, but it's very nice here. There's also an option for HDR support in games that don't have HDR support. It's like auto HDR support, which is really cool. I haven't messed around with that one a lot yet, but I do like the idea of it. I know Windows 11 that's coming out has that option as well, where like it injects HDR support to your
Mhm.
games. So that's cool. Yeah, I think like the best thing here is what I wanted, which was just it's very ease of access. Like everything's just download done, more or less.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
that's
really
pretty
need to
nice.
fiddle with anything.
Except the menus.
Yeah, well, even that I don't need to because I can just press the guide button and then use the smart resume like I mentioned before.
Oh no, I mean not that part. Just menus. The other menus you're talking about.
Oh yeah. If I wanted to buy something, but I mean I can just go online and do that instead, which I
Honestly, I mean, I realized that with pretty much all the stores, it's
Mhm.
easier to just go to the website and just tell it
It
to
really
download
is.
than it is to go through the
Yep.
actual system.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's probably the best thing to do for the Xbox One, more so than other consoles as well. I think Sony's is kind of shit, their online store is, but like Xbox is totally fine and Switch is incredible the way they have it set up. It's so much easier just to download games on the Switch's online store on like
Yeah,
browsers than it is the Switch itself. Um, but
which
I
is
think it's
weird
going to
for
be
Nintendo because it's like I don't know how they got that leap forward all of a sudden because it used to just be like, "What's the internet?" Everyone know what that
yeah,
is, and now it's just
exactly.
like we'll be on the podcast. I know it's happened a couple times where they're like, "Oh, a demo pops up or something,"
Uh-huh.
and
And just
I'll just
you just
be on
queue
my
it up.
phone and just click it, and it's just
Uh-huh.
good. And by the time we're done recording, it's there. Like
Yeah, I
it's
think that's a really good thing that Nintendo has done lately. They really haven't done many good things in my opinion. But that is one of them. I don't hate Nintendo. I need to clarify that. I just think that as far as everyone like in the console market right now, Nintendo is only able to code spy on their games. That is literally all they can code spy on. They can't code spy on the way their console plays anymore, like like frame rates and that sort of thing. They can't code spy on the way uh how many games they're having released for it or like the quality of games because now they're just allowing anyone to release things on it and a lot of the quality of games that's on the eShop for the Nintendo Switch is really bad. Sony's had that same problem for a while now as well. But like Nintendo used to have like their seal of approval and all that good jazz. And
seal approval's been dead for like
oh
30
yeah,
years,
I'm,
frankly.
I'm well aware of that. I know I'm well aware of that. But I'm saying like those people would be like rolling in their grave right now if they saw the way Nintendo has become.
What did you think on the flip side with that though? Nintendo's been, I mean, this kind of actually goes to probably something you want to talk about, but I don't know if it's
hmm
right now, anyways. But just how I feel like they've been better at featuring like a lot of the more high quality like third party releases, like with their indie show worlds
You
and
are
stuff.
not wrong. I actually want to talk about that a little bit later. We'll get to the Indie World showcase that I watched yesterday in its entirety.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. They've been doing a lot of good things by the indies. I think that's something that is to be commended for Nintendo. But like I also would probably say Microsoft's doing a lot of really good things with indie games as well. Like that boyfriend dungeon game that I'll talk about on the indie showcase, that was released on Game Pass immediately. I could play that right now. In fact, I have it installed.
there you go. Yeah, I mean they do a very good job with it.
hmm
Sony, I mean they used to. I don't know if they still
Yeah,
do okay with that.
I don't really know. Sony is in a weird place right now. I don't really know how to explain
Sony's
them.
in the we're the market leader, bow to us phase of their
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah, they kind of are.
But
So yeah,
whatever.
any other questions about the Series S or like Microsoft in general and their games right now for it?
No, not at the moment. I mean, made it sound like it's a great system.
It
The
is
only
great.
reason, the
And
only
like
reason I wouldn't get
I paid like $2.99 for it. With tax it was $3.24.
it's
So like
fantastic. Yeah.
it's great price too for everything you've got there.
The only reason I wouldn't get an S personally is just because of the disk drive, but for you
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't make a
understandable.
difference.
Yeah, I don't
So
care.
yeah.
Also, I was looking because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you can't really play on an S because you don't have that much space and everything on when you first get the console." Which, granted, 364 gigs, which is what I think it is, like completely fresh install of the system. Not a whole lot, but then, like I mentioned, they do a really good job of compressing their games here on the Series S. And also I think, don't quote me on this because I have not tried it yet, but I've looked up and I've read a bunch of things. If a game isn't SX, like has the ray tracing, has this, that, and the other, which
Yeah.
requires the extra, memory bandwidth from the internal SSD in the Xbox Series S. If the game isn't that, you can literally install it on an external hard drive, any of them. Just plug
Oh,
it
that's
in.
nice.
So like you can pay like $50 $40 for an external hard drive, plug that in, have another terabyte of space for like your Xbox 360 games and like your Xbox One games that don't get the extra bells and whistles. Like one of the big games I have installed right now is Forza 7 because I really like the Forza series as we talked about before, and that game's like 100 gigabytes. And it's like when you take that into account and there's no accessibility to it, um, then like I can just uninstall that and put that on an external, and then I have now another 200 gigs, and it's like okay, for installing XS games on the internal hard drive instead of an external. And then I could uninstall the other ones that aren't XS games and put them also in there, and that'd probably free up like back to 300 gigs pretty much. So,
But it makes sense you'd be able to run the Xbox One games off an external because
mhm.
I mean that's what I did with my
Well,
Xbox One.
see, that makes
So,
sense, but like for the longest time, at least on the PS5, you couldn't. So,
yeah, no, I know.
you know,
We just
I mean, you can now. That is something you can do now, but like at the launch, you couldn't do that.
yeah, I feel like Microsoft didn't have that issue if I remember correctly.
I don't know if they did either, so I can't really speak about that.
Mhm.
But like, yeah. So I mostly got this because the Xbox has always been what I use to watch pay-per-views on like my big TV in the living room because it's just more convenient because they have all of those apps for watching TV shows and everything.
Mhm.
I've been using HBO Max lately because I sub to it, and we'll get to that in a minute. And yeah, I mean that's way convenient. So my original Xbox One, which I was using before this one, was always used for like watching TNT app for my wrestling, watching pay-per-view apps for my wrestling, watching things for like Disney Plus, Netflix, this, that, and the other. And here in the Xbox One S, I mean, that still works perfectly. So it's just an upgrade all around.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say, like, the thing I love the most about the X, the SX
Mhm.
XX is the form factor. I just love how small that system
Dude,
is.
it's so tiny. Did you see the picture I posted?
Yeah. Mhm.
Did I post the one where it's got the controller sitting next to it? Yeah, dude, the controller's almost as big as the system.
Yeah.
That's how small it is. I literally have it sitting behind my monitor because it can just fit down there. It's so small and like just great where it is. Like there's no need for like you don't need a lot of space for this sort of thing. It's just like okay, that's awesome.
I love. I mean, I wish more systems could do that. So,
Agreed.
yeah,
It would be way more convenient if it could.
absolutely. So, I don't know. That's all my burning questions for the S. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have anything else.
No, I can move on now to the movie I watched.
Okay.
So I watched The Suicide Squad.
Oh, what's it?
I have seen this movie twice, so that should probably give you an idea.
It's only
I
been like
loved
a
this
week,
movie.
granted.
I've seen this movie twice. I loved this movie. Um, So I've seen the original Suicide Squad. In fact, I saw it in theaters, and
Hmm.
I thought it was fine. It wasn't like anything groundbreaking. It was just like it was the most 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 movie I'd seen like ever, basically.
Yeah.
You know, I'd honestly give this like a 9.
Oh wow.
It's incredible. So something you need to know about this film is it's rated R, and it knows it's rated R. Like it is incredibly vulgar, incredibly violent. It does not give a shit about any pretense of being a superhero film whatsoever. This has more in common with like a Grindhouse film or a Tarantino film than it does a superhero film.
Okay.
And the movie's all the better for it, because it's like this movie does have a main villain, but
Hmm.
also it's a character like film, and
Hmm.
like since all the people in the Suicide Squad are villains, everyone's a villain. So there's like no good guys. So it's just like you're watching the worst kind of people have do the worst kind of things because they're not afraid to, because that's just the kind of people they are. But you're still able to like see character development and see like their backstories and whatnot, and see them as people, not just as a bad guy trope. And that makes it really, really good. And it doesn't try to tie it into any of the other cinematic like DC universe at all. Like it's really its own thing, basically. Um, and it has like little mentions here or there. Like one person was asked like why he was in prison, and he like said that he put Superman in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet that he created and everything. And it's like, okay, that's just like a throwaway line. That's it. And then like there's characters in this that are just completely stupid. Like there's Polka Dot Man who kills people with polka dots. Um, and he has like a mama complex where like they're having a conversation with him, and like he's telling them about this, that, and the other, and how his mother was trying to make him into a superhero and things didn't go right, and it created an intergalactic virus within him and his brothers and sisters. And they asked what happened to his brothers and sisters, and he's like, some of them lived and some of them weren't so lucky. And then they're like, and what happened to your mother? And he's like, she's everywhere now. And then it shows that he's like kind of a psychopath, and he sees everyone as his mother. So then you see his point of view, and you see all the other people that are in that scene, but they look like his mother now. And like he has these little lines where he's like talking with people, and they're like, what happened to my soldiers? And it's like, oh, I don't know, I didn't see them. And then like he'll say something like, I turned them into my mother in my head and I killed them. And it's just like weird shit like that happens like in the film. And it's not afraid to be like, hey, you like this character? All right, well, they're gone now. That's in the most gruesome, violent way possible, and I really respect that. This film's really funny. This film's it's just great. Like everything about it is great. If you have like superhero fatigue and you're just tired of the same usual bullshit, um, this is not the same usual bullshit, in my opinion. And a lot of people absolutely hate it for that reason. And I'm just like, come on, for fuck's sake, we don't need 700 Iron Man films and Thor films and this, that, and the other. It's nice to have something different. And this is definitely something different that I would highly recommend watching. Like I said, I've seen it twice now. I've seen it by myself the first night it released, and then I watched it with Katie afterwards, and we both loved it. So, and like I'm kind of a movie buff. I really like watching movies and films and whatnot. And I noticed that one of my favorite directors is actually in this film with a little cameo, um, which is also the first director that gave James Gunn like a chance at being a filmmaker. Uh, Mike, do you know who Lloyd Kaufman is?
Nope.
All right, so he created have you ever heard of the Toxic Avenger?
Yes.
He's the guy that created that.
Okay.
He also created the Trauma universe. So he's the guy who made that. And he's like a very old man now who made his own studio, and his own studio is like Trauma Studios. And the reason why he made it was for people that necessarily can't afford to make their own films, he can give them a chance to like, cut their teeth and make a low budget film under his studio and whatnot, and help them out. And one of the first studios that James Gunn, who made Guardians of the Galaxy, worked with was Troma when he made his first film. And he like owes a lot to Lloyd Kaufman. So Lloyd Kaufman's actually in this movie because this movie's made by James Gunn. So yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Lloyd Kaufman. He's fucking great. He's hilarious. He's an incredibly nice guy. And I really like just the Troma universe in general because it just doesn't give a shit. And like that's kind of the thing that happens in this movie. It just doesn't give a shit. And yeah, being able to be like let off the rails and have something be like so gritty and almost feels like an exploitation film, it really makes for a good watch, and it's a lot of fun. So
that's good. I mean, I do feel like I don't watch a ton of the superhero shit, but
yeah.
The DC universe, I feel like most of those movies have not been up to par with some of the other superhero movies.
I do agree. I think the problem with the DC universe is there's just a lot of inconsistency because of how many times they've been rebooted, how many people have handled the universe, and like they tried to make a Snyder universe and it just didn't work. It didn't work because of all the reshoots and the changing of this, that, and the other, and then being too gritty, and it just didn't work. But then you look at things like Wonder Woman, which is pretty good, but then the second film again just didn't work. It was handled by a different group of people, and it was shot horribly, and it just wasn't good. And you've got those kind of problems across the entirety of the DC universe films. And I think this is probably one of the best DC films they've ever put out, in my opinion. It's got it's got an all-star cast of characters. Like, you got Idris Elba here. You've got fucking John Cena. You have Sylvester Stallone. But he's kind of doing like what they did with Groot, where Groot was played by why can't I think of his name? Guy from Riddick.
Oh, what's his name? Why can't I think of it either? I can see
it.
Right? Shit.
Right?
Yeah.
Vin Diesel. There we are. Diesel. There we go. Yeah. I'm right? I am right about that. I'm not fucking stupid. Yeah. Groot was played by Vin Diesel, and like all he does is say, "I am Groot." And then here, King Shark is played by Sylvester Stallone, and all he says is a bunch of stupid one-liners that are fucking great. But it's like they went and hired Sylvester Stallone, and they just had him say lines like "Birdie" for like a fucking sight gag and shit like that. And it's funny as hell. It so goes back to like what I was saying, where they just don't give a shit about the film, but it's like so well put together that them not giving a shit makes it a better film. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's those films where people are allowed to just be let loose and do whatever they want, and this is one of those.
That's good. Sounds like it's what it needed.
Yeah, it's definitely what they needed. I feel like, as far as, like I said, DC films go, this is the one that's probably the most consistent and just great overall the entire way through. I'm probably gonna end up watching it a third time because I know my mother wants to see it and whatnot, so I'll probably watch it with her. But like, yeah, I don't mind watching it a third time because it's just that much fun. So it's like, okay. I do like DC films though, because I think it's a great way to see how films shouldn't be made. But this isn't one of those, in my opinion. This is one that's actually just a genuinely good film. And it probably goes back to James Gunn, because James Gunn is good at making movies, especially when he's just let loose to do whatever he wants. So,
and I have a feeling that's probably what Warner Brothers wanted. They're probably like, we just need to win. Just do whatever the fuck you need to do to make a good movie. Like, go to town.
Yeah. And I think that's going to backfire for them, because, we were talking about how there's those gritty DC movies and everything. Now people that are DC fans are like conditioned for that sort of thing. And since this has got like comedy in it, a lot of them are just like, this isn't serious at all. I can't take this seriously. It's not a good movie. I turned it off like 15 minutes in. I just couldn't do it. And it's just like, dude, you sound like a fucking edgy teenager. How about you actually try to have some fun in your life, you know?
I know. Well, I mean, DC's always just kind of ridden that line with their movies.
Like, well, yes, with their movies, but I was gonna say like I don't actually like Marvel comics aside from like Deadpool. I think Deadpool and Punisher are really good Marvel comics, but I fucking love DC comics, like the actual comic books. I have a stack of them that like fills like 3 or 4 slots in my entertainment center, and I really like them. And it's because they're really good at telling stories, they're really good at creating characters, and they're really good at just making like really really well written environments and like places and whatnot, and just going and tackling them in different ways. And you don't see that in the DC films, which is such a fucking letdown, because like there's so many things you could do with Batman, and there's so many things you could do with Superman, there's so many things you could do with the Justice League and this, that, and the other, and you could do so many great things with those characters, but the only ways those have ever been tackled correctly is in like the animated DC films. So it's a shame because like the live action ones just kind of aren't that great. I mean, I think the Christopher Nolan Batman films, like Batman Begins and Dark Knight, and even
those two.
somewhat Dark Knight Rises, I think those are pretty good films.
Yeah,
But
no, they definitely were.
But like overall, DC has not been consistent with their movie quality.
Yeah, I mean, the original Batman was a classic.
Oh yeah, the Tim Burton one. Yeah, Tim Burton Batman's fantastic. That's a great movie.
Yeah, it's just like you're saying with Batman. It's like you almost never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly, and like he's also got so many stories that are just so incredible that have never been told. Like in live action Batman or in animated Batman, like they've never been told. They're only in comic books, and it's like if they were to attempt those, I think they could do such a better job with like Batman just in general. Like they could even do like the gritty stuff like Zack Snyder does if they did something like Death of a Family, or if they did something like Killing Joke live action. If they did something like those, they can make a really really good film that's dark and gritty like the DC fans like, but they just don't do those for some reason.
They'll get there, hopefully.
I don't know if they will actually. Like I think we're gonna have to have these like one-off weird films, like for instance Suicide Squad, and that's gonna be what carries the DC name basically.
I mean, if this movie does well, you think they'd be like, yeah, we need more of what made this movie good. But like, I guess, like you just said, though, it's like you had
You have the
Nolan
detractors
Batman
because
movies.
they're used to like those kind of films instead.
Yeah.
Also, but yeah, you were saying the Nolan Batman movies. What about them?
Oh, as I say, but you had those, and then it's like even after those, they still took like a wild rate turn. So I mean, who knows? Who knows what they'll get to? So
Yeah, I always look forward to seeing what they're going to do with DC. Like Joker was an excellent film. Like have you've seen that? Have you seen that one?
no, I haven't seen Joker.
You should watch it. It's excellent. Or like have you ever seen Taxi Driver?
No, I did hear
Oh,
Joker was good though.
yeah, so Taxi Driver is fuck, who made Taxi Driver? I can never remember directors. Yeah, it's a Martin Scorsese film. So
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's like Robert De Niro and those sort of things.
Robert De
The
Niro.
yeah, Robert De Niro. Why'd I say? I
De
said yeah,
Janeiro.
I said De Janeiro. I'm sorry, I'm so tired.
He's not the city in Brazil.
Yeah, Robert De Niro. Those kind of gritty films that they're in, like Taxi Driver, that's kind of what the Joker movie is like, and it's really fucking good. And I think films like that and like Suicide Squad, where they're vastly different from like the DC universe, and they're just something on their own. I think that's the best way to tackle DC films, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, moving on from that. Yeah, let's go talk about the news unless you have anything else to say. Because
No,
I mean, I
that's it.
played Back for Blood also, which I guess I can mention, and it's just kind of a worse version of Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
It's
Is that the game that's made by the same people?
yes, yes, it is. I will say right now, like the reason why I think it's a worse version has everything to do with the card system. So similar to like roguelike games like Slay the Spire and this, that, and the other, after every run, you get like card packs. And the card packs are essentially like your skill tree in this game, but it's randomized. And you can have randomized card packs effects like make the game very foggy and harder to see, and or give yourself a 10% speed boost when reloading, like those sort of deals. But since this is WB, I can't see them not monetizing it and making the game pay to win.
Yeah.
And that kind of really, really rubs me the wrong way and upsets me. It's just like, damn it, guys, come on. It's close. It's close to being a good game, but it's not quite there yet. And I don't think it should release when its planned release is right now. I think they should wait like another month or two and rework some of the balance
When's the
issues
planned
in the game.
release?
Uh Honestly, I think it's like, oh, actually, it's October. I thought it was in September. October 12th is the planned release. But even then, I'd probably push it into like November. Make sure they've got everything ironed out after beta feedback, because there's an open beta this weekend. There was a closed beta last weekend, but I've been in the alpha of the game since forever. So
Mhm.
I was able to play the closed beta because I've been in alpha for a while. It has improved, but like it also shows a lot of things that make me think this is gonna turn out bad. But I hope that's not the case. So yeah,
Guess
there you
we'll
go.
find out. I mean, hopefully
Yeah.
they, like you said, hopefully they take the
I
feedback.
mean, at the end of the day, I don't care because I'm just gonna play it through Game Pass because this is a day one Game Pass game.
Mhm.
But I do hope they try to make it better before it releases for the people that are gonna drop $60 on it. All right, moving on from that, let's go over to the news. You good with that?
Yeah,
All right. So there was an. I'm just gonna talk about the Indie Direct. You
that's
cool with
really the
that?
only news I think we wanted to talk
Okay.
about, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an Indie Direct for Nintendo. If
Yes,
you
there
wanna
was.
you wanna go over that for a bit.
Yeah.
What did you think of it? Because I know you mentioned that like you didn't really think there was much here.
Like I said, I just saw the back half of it,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, it's okay. Like, I mean, nothing
Hmm.
really jumped out at me. And I think I told you the thing that I thought actually looked the coolest was the Tetris game, but I was also like, but it's also Tetris.
And I'm
And
going to sell you on that game because that
okay,
is so you remember the game Child of Eden?
yeah, mhm,
This is made by the same person.
okay,
It has the same kind of trippy visuals, and you know how like Child of Eden plays with like the sounds you made when you were playing that game to like go into what's going on with the visuals in the background and whatnot. And they did the same thing with their other game Res, where
hmm,
like the actual audio and visuals mixed together to create the whole experience. Well, that's the same thing with Tetris Effect, which is what this game is. It's Tetris connected because this one has online multiplayer, but this is a updated version of Tetris Effect. And what makes this game so special is as you're playing and as you're dropping the blocks in and this sort of thing and whatnot, you go and you kind of have like this zen-like state because the blocks clearing and the music that's going on in the background and the visuals that's going on in the background, just all of it culminates and comes together to kind of make an experience that just clicks, like it just works a lot better than pretty much any Tetris game I've ever played, in my opinion. I've also played this in VR, and in VR it's fucking amazing. But
just looking at the video about it while you're talking, and I saw some of the effects, and I was like, well, this game looks like it'd be pretty rad if it was in VR. I didn't
yeah,
know if it
it
was or
it
not.
is in VR. Yeah, I've played the VR version, and the VR version is like it's like a religious experience, honestly. And that kind of well, I mean, I know that sounds really dumb to say, but that's actually kind of what they're going for when they talked about this game initially. they were like, so like what makes this game any different from like normal Tetris? And they're like, well, there's an effect that's actually like a term that's actually been cued where it's like the Tetris effect. And it's like when you're playing a game, and it was specifically for Tetris in this case, and you get into that like zen like state where you're just like hyper focused, and like you see the things around you, and you like notice them and everything, but you're focused on dropping those blocks. And like it's one of those things where you go into like that state where you're just like zombified, like looking straight at it, and there's nothing there except you and your game of Tetris at that moment in time or whatever, and like everything else is tuned out around you, and it kind of does that. But what they wanted to do was to heighten that state with this game by also adding those auditory and visual kind of elements that really brings the entire thing together to make that experience even more so than just like dropping blocks with the sounds and with you being hyper focused. You're also focused on what your backgrounds have turned into, the sounds that it's making when you're dropping them, the music that's playing along and being created as you're doing all of this. And it's really fucking phenomenal. It's overall, it's a absolute phenomenal game. Like, yeah, it is Tetris at its core, but Child of Eden is just an on-rail shooter at its core. But when you bring all of those things together, it's so much more. And that's the same thing that you have here with Tetris Effect.
I mean, it looks amazing.
It is. It is absolutely. I own this game on 3 consoles.
Are you gonna get on another one?
I might get it on Switch. I fucking love this game. I'm gonna be completely honest. I fucking love this game. Like I have it on PC, I have it on PS4/PS5, and I also have it on Xbox because it's on Game Pass. But like I might actually get this on Switch because this is one of those games where like you just put a headset on and you just sit there and you just look at the screen and play it, and it's just like it's just you and the game at that moment in time. It's a very relaxing experience, which is weird because Tetris can be stressful, like when you're trying to get
Oh
all those
yeah.
blocks and everything. But this game really toes the line between being stressful and just having that zen-like experience because of the auditory and visual elements of it. So it's great.
Okay.
It's all around
Yeah,
great.
it looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some other things because I could gush about Tetris Effect all day.
Okay.
So, let's go how this opened up because you didn't see the beginning. So we'll talk about some of the things this opened up with. First thing this opened up with is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I've been looking forward to this game for a year and a half now since it was announced. What this game is the spiritual successor to Jet Grind Radio, Jet Set Radio, depending on where you are in the world. And the way it works and the way it's actually a spiritual successor is they got pretty much the original creators of Jet Set Radio, the original audio creators of Jet Set Radio, and the original music producers of Jet Set Radio. And they are like, hey, Sega isn't making Jet Set Radio. You want to make Jet Set Radio? And so they're making Jet Set Radio under a different name.
I mean, it's literally what it looks like when I showed you that video. There's no second guessing on that.
Yeah, this game is something I've been looking forward to. They've been like slowly putting out like information for it, but like now we got like some gameplay, we got some of the songs playing in the background, and you can definitely tell like that the guy who made the soundtrack for Jet Set Radio, which in case you don't know, Mike, he's the same person that made the like Sonic Advance music, and he makes incredible soundtracks. Even if you don't like Sonic, the Sonic Advance soundtracks are fucking phenomenal. So you should
Sonic
definitely
music's
give those
pretty
a listen.
solid usually. Yeah.
I think it's Hideki Nakamura. I'm pretty sure I butchered his name, which I feel really bad because he's one of my favorite music artists. But like his music's fucking phenomenal, and it's definitely worth giving a listen. So yeah, that game has been at coming soon in the future for a while now, and they gave us a 2020 release date of it being a console exclusive for the Nintendo Switch. So that's pretty neat. So that's coming out in the future, and I'm very excited for it. They then announced a game called Toma, TOEM, I think.
Home would be my
Tome,
guess.
maybe? Maybe. It's a like diorama sort of thing, but like it's also like a puzzle game where like you have to go and find places to take pictures of. It's pretty neat looking. I think they've shown this off in the past on some other indie showcases, not specifically Nintendo, but other indie showcases like online. Like I think it was shown during one of the Valve ones and then during one of the PC game ones. This game looks really cool. It's got this black and white aesthetic, where, like I also said, it's got this top-down view of the world, kind of like a diorama, and that top-down. I'm gonna actually link you to the entire
I'm
showcase if you
looking
want
at
to
a
scroll
video of
through.
it right now.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it
this
looks interesting.
and like you go into first person and take photos to like score points and stuff, and yeah, it's cool. The next game they showed off was Loop Hero. This is a really good game. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that right now. So it takes the idea of two things and kind of flips it on its head. I said 3 years ago the next game fad that's going to happen is those RPG games where you use cards as the battling system. And I'll be damned if this isn't another RPG game where you use cards as the battling system. But it does something different because you're not playing the game, you're creating the game by putting down with the cards the room that your hero will go into next. And it's actually an idler game where the hero is not controlled by you, and instead it's you trying to create the dungeon around the hero, which is really different and neat concept. It's a lot of fun. This has been on PC for a while now. It's made by Devolver. I mean, it's published by Devolver Digital, and with their track record of incredible games, this is just going to be another one of those great games to pick up and play while on the go. So there you go.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
I didn't watch much of this one. I actually scrolled through this next one. It's called Far Changing Tides. I don't really get this one. It looks like a platformer similar to something like Inside or whatnot, but it also looks like you have to traverse the world by a ship, and it's kind of odd, and I want to see more, but yeah, I don't really have enough information to say anything about that one yet. So, um, the next game, Necro Barista, The Final Pour. This is a weird
Oh
one.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
the this is where I started watching it.
this one's weird because this is a uh very stylized visual novel actually. And the visual novel aspect of it comes from you being like a barista, but you're a barista in the underworld. So like you're giving people their final drink before they move on, like to their death place. It's and like it tells you like the stories of all these different people and whatnot. It seems interesting. I haven't looked into it. I haven't played it. I don't know if it's actually good or if it's just like, weird for weirdness sake. But the art style is very
Reminds me of
uh
Professor Layton.
I was gonna say the art style is very like different. Like you don't really see much games with this kind of art style because it's like not cell shaded, but kinda, and then like it's not hand drawn, but it kinda looks like it is, and it's not like 3D, but it kinda is, and it's somewhere in a weird amalgamation of all three of those, and it's like okay, it's at least interesting and looks very different.
That's
So.
an interesting concept
Mhm.
for sure. But this kind of game, it all depends. Visual novel, it's only as good as the story,
The story,
really.
yeah, exactly.
But it could
So
be
I
good.
have, yeah. So moving on from that, I actually haven't got to play this next game, but it's been on my to play list for a very long time. It's called Garden Story, which I actually think that one was one of the ones they released right away, maybe.
Oh, that's one of the grapes, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is kind of like Stardew Valley, but Zelda, but not, but Forager. And it's kind of weird. It doesn't really. Actually, I don't know if this one released. What is this called? Da, 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 da,
It's
da.
it just yeah, it did.
It did release? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Garden Story released yesterday. Okay. Yeah, apparently it's pretty alright. I don't know. This one looks really cool and like it could be a lot of fun, but it also is gonna depend on how it's handled. I might check this one out on PC because it does look kind of cool. Like I said, you
It
kind
kind of
of
reminds
got
me of like,
the Stardew Valley thing, you got like Animal Crossing, and then you got like Legend of Zelda, like all of that combined into one
I say it
basically.
reminds me more of like Earthbound, kind of.
Why would you say that?
Oh, just kind of like the art style and like the weird characters and
I
things
guess I
like
can
that.
see it with the art style, but like the game is literally Stardew Valley, but you play as a grape.
It still looks dumb. I hate this game.
You
I've
don't
never
like it?
played it though. No,
Okay.
I don't know. There's just something very off-putting about it to me, and I don't know what it is. I'm
Mm.
sure it's probably a fine game. Probably why they've showed it twice on these indie directs, but there's just something about it that just does not click with me, and I'm not sure what it is.
Okay. So after that, we have Boyfriend Dungeon, which I've actually kind of been looking forward to this game for a while now. It finally released. So this is part dungeon crawler, a la Diablo or those kind of games, and part dating sim. Have you looked at this game, Mike?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so I like the idea of kind of like with Persona, the higher your intimacy with your weapon rises, like the more powerful the weapon gets. But here they like take it a step further by actually have you dating your weapon in the game, which allows you to make the weapon more powerful. That's
Why
just
not?
so weird and interesting. I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also on Game Pass. I actually installed that one last night, so I'm gonna check that out. Um, finally, out of all the like big titles that released immediately, which these last five have, I think. Yeah, these last one, two, three, last four, I think. It doesn't matter. Anyway, these last few games that I've been talking about released right away. And the final one was Axiom Verge 2, which people have been waiting for quite a long time. Like, did you ever play Axiom Verge?
I didn't. It looks good.
And do you know what it is?
It's a Metroidvania, right?
It's a Metroidvania, but the game knows it's a game and the code is broken, and that's the plot line.
Oh, okay.
It's the first one's really neat. I don't know what the second one's gonna do, but the first one's really neat. Like you would use abilities that would actually be programmed into the game as this that would allow you to move between the code. It was very meta, but it was very cool and very different from your usual Metroidvania games. I kind of hope they do the same thing with Axiom Verge 2. I really like the worlds in Axiom Verge 2. They look really interesting and different. So yeah, that's one people have been looking forward to for quite some time, though. We then got a like pocket dungeon version of Shovel Knight announced. I don't know what pocket dungeon is, but it looks pretty cool. I actually am digging that. That one looks like something that I would definitely be interested in playing.
Trying to think. There was a game it reminded me of, but I cannot think of what it is.
Pack Attack. I'm not kidding. This game reminds me of Pack Attack.
Oh.
It's like part puzzle game, but then like you
Mhm.
can drop your character you're playing as, that character being Pac-Man and Pack Attack, and they can destroy elements of it. In Pack Attack, it was Ghost. In this, it looks like, enemies from Shovel Knight. So I'm curious if this Shovel Knight game is going to be a free-to-play game and if it's going to be on mobile phones. It
It looks like
really
it.
looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's made for the Switch.
Well, didn't they say that in the video? They were like, "Well, we brought this over to the Switch."
I guess
Like,
so.
I thought they said it, and I'm not gonna turn the video on to listen to it.
Hmm.
But I feel like that's something they said like during it. They're like, "Oh,
Does that
we
mean
were
it's
making this,
already
and it seemed
on?
like it was a good fit." Hmm.
It says PS4 and Nintendo Switch. So, yeah, I guess it's not a mobile game. I like it. Like, I'm interested in trying this out. It looks really cool.
Works with all your Shovel Knight amiibo too.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know. It brings like a fairy in. Fairy does
Hmm.
blesses you, maybe.
Okay.
I just made that up. It seems like something a fairy would do.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know what the next game is. It's so vague, I couldn't tell you.
Which
It
one?
kind of looks like a city builder. Islanders.
You know what that reminded me of? Civ.
What?
That's what I thought of as soon as I saw it. It reminded
Yeah,
me of
but it
Civ.
looks more like Sim City, in my opinion. because like you remember how in SimCity, like at least the more recent SimCity, the bad ones, you were able to like interact with people nearby, and if your portion of the town that interacted with your next door neighbor's portion of the town in the online portion of the game, like was able to like coincide, you got more points and you got more money and this, that, and the other. This game kind of reminds me of that, but with parts of islands.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like a city builder. I'm pretty sure this is a city builder, but I'm not 100% sure.
I mean,
Uh,
the description says relax and create your ideal city on
mhm,
colorful islands with the minimalist city builder islanders.
mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely is a city builder.
So the next game, I think, is the second best game in the entire showcase.
Which one's that?
This is Metal Slug Tactics. This
Oh,
looks
that looked great.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
right?
And actually, I was surprised that like when I saw the video, I didn't recognize it as Metal Slug until they said it.
Oh
Like
wow,
it's so
I
obvious after the
recognized it right
point,
away. If you actually
but
go back to the big like the first part of it, you can see
Mhm.
like all the influences of SNK. Like you see the SNK arcade cabinets, which are
Mhm.
literally colored like the SNK arcade cabinets. There's a Final Fight poster in the background. Not Final Fight, sorry, Fatal Fury. Wait, is it Fatal Fury? God, why can I never remember the FF for SNK? Is it Fatal? I think it's Fatal Fury. It's the one with Terry Bogard.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know. Yeah, it's Fatal Fury. There we go. So yeah, you got the Fatal Fury thing there, and then you have a an actual SNK console like over there on the like and the cartridges and all that stuff. It's so neat. It's such a throwback to so many different things, and it looks like it plays fantastically. It's got like a bit of Disgaea in here. It's got a bit of Advanced Wars. It's got a bit of like Fire Emblem, all in a Metal Slug world, and I love, love, love that. There's even like little signs like making fun of themselves. Like at 1629 the video, you could see a Neo Geo, and it's selling for like $1 million. Which, in case you don't know, Neo Geos are incredibly fucking expensive. The consoles are insanely expensive. I'm actually gonna look up how much one is right now on eBay. So here we go, Neo Geo. All right, so a Neo Geo console, no cartridge, just the console, um, $800.
Oh, that's that. It's only 800.
Yeah, not that bad. But anyway, moving on from that, this game looks phenomenal. I'm very excited for this one. I really hope this turns out well.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
it
think
looks
we could. I
fantastic.
don't think we
I
got a
think they
release
nailed
date
it.
except for like next year, right?
2022. That's all they said. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So next year,
yeah. They nailed the art style. Like it looks fantastic.
absolutely.
Like it looks like it'd actually be a pretty good tactics game. So
Hmm.
I mean, I guess we'll see. It gets closer, but at least so far, like I'm pretty impressed with it.
Absolutely. So yeah, the next thing I've already gushed about, which is Tetris Effect Connected. I I just can't recommend this game enough. I can I cheat and make this my game of the year? Like every single year that Tetris Effect is re-released on something, can I cheat and make it my game of the year?
I think you've threatened that before, but then something always sneaks in there.
I know, but like I just okay. Let's move on from that. Just no, Tetris Effect is amazing, and if you haven't played it, you absolutely should. And now that it's on every console, you really don't have an excuse. We then got a little vignette of a whole bunch of games being announced. I think the most interesting one in this is Slime Rancher coming to the Switch. That's pretty fucking cool. Slime Rancher is a really good game. Have you played Slime Rancher, Mike?
Uh,
Slime Rancher is fucking awesome. It controls kind of like Metroid Prime, and you're going out into the wild and capturing these slimes and then like creating enclosures for them and like putting them in the enclosures so they can breed. But when they breed, they create a slime and they also create the currency of the game. So like in order to stay alive in business, make money, buy the upgrades you need, get to different parts of the world, learn more about the slimes and this, that, and the other. You have to figure out what slimes mix with which ones will produce more money, and what areas you can go to and which ones aren't hostile at that moment in time, or if you have the correct equipment to get to said areas, if you can do that then and there. And it's a very neat game that's definitely worth checking out if you've never played it.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
So moving on from that, we had like one indie game that they showed off, and I've actually been following this for a very long time. Eastward was announced for the Nintendo Switch. Now, if you want to talk about games that look like Earthbound, this did you this this is very Earthbound with the
Looking at it right
world
now.
with the world like the gameplay, at least from the looks of it, looking something like I actually have no idea, but this game looks amazing,
Oh, that's really good.
right? So I've been following this one, like I said, for a very long time. Chucklefish makes great games, so I'm very excited for this one as well. It's coming out very soon in September,
Hmm.
so this is one I'll definitely be keeping an eye on, and will probably pick up very soon. Yeah, so like there were a lot of games here. They were like very much smaller titles, obviously, because they were indie ones. But even for indie games, a lot of these were like smaller indie games. But I don't think that's a bad thing, and I think what they showed off here, like you mentioned before, it's good. It's good. It's good to have that much amount of choice, and that's something that Nintendo is doing very well, I believe, when it comes to like the more popular indie titles that they're showing off in like their indie world showcases and whatnot. Some
Yeah,
of these
no.
games I don't really know if they should be here, because like Tetris Effect, I don't think that's an indie title. Uh, but like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna complain about Tetris Effect showing up somewhere else.
I
So
mean, it's not. It's definitely not like a AAA
no,
kind of
obviously
game
not.
though either. Although I mean, they did use some like. I'm trying to think, they did show off like something weird. One of their. Oh no, I'm thinking about something else. But they did show off Cadence of Hyrule. That was.
That was actually an indie title though. Cadence of Hyrule is still an indie title, even though it's using Zelda, because it's
No,
made
I
by
know.
the same people that made Crypt of the Necrodancer. So that one actually made sense.
There is. I was thinking of Hyrule Warriors, but I was getting confused because it was a partners direct that they shoved that in,
Mm. hmm
and I was like, well, that's kind of a first party title. But I mean, I guess it's technically not made by Nintendo. Kind
hmm
of you blur the lines a little bit there, but I was getting that confused with the indie direct when I was thinking about it. Yeah, no, they do usually highlight some pretty good stuff. I mean, I know there's been a couple times where I've been like, oh, this stuff's pretty good,
hmm
good looking. I mean, I haven't bought too many of them, but I know I did get. I think the last one was when they had "This is no game" or "There is no game," whatever that is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You liked that one too, didn't
yeah, it
you?
was great.
I recommended that to you.
Yeah,
Hey. Yeah, you know what, looking at it now, I actually think even though it is Tetris, the original publisher was Sony Interactive, but they're no longer the original publisher. So yeah, it is still an indie title. So there we go. Um, so never mind. I retract what I said. But yeah, I think everything that was shown here was pretty fucking good. I really like that we opened up with Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which is something, like I said, I've been looking forward to this game ever since it was announced like a year and a half ago now, and just overall a very solid presentation of indie titles. Something here for everyone.
there's definitely. I would even go as far to say too. Like, I don't think they showed up anything that's bad
No, I don't think so either.
either. Like, I might not like the grape game, but
hmm
it's not bad.
I'm pretty sure it's actually really good. I think you just don't like the art style.
Yeah, it's not the art. There's something about it that just I just don't like. I cannot put it into
Have you played
words.
Forager?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
So Forager kind of has the same sort of art style,
The
but
art
not
style, the art style
really.
of the grape game reminds me like of Mother 3, like almost identically.
Hmm.
Like I like the art style, it's just there's something about that game. Maybe it's just the fact that you're a grape. Like maybe that's what it is. I don't know. There's just
Maybe.
something, there's something weird about that game that I'm just like, I don't
Maybe
know.
you subconsciously know the game's going to be full of puns to do with grapes and other
Oh, it
things,
probably
and
will.
as
And like
such,
all
you're
your
just
friends are
like,
like other
ugh,
things too.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
don't know.
I actually think that was one of the cooler games that they showed, in my opinion. I really like that one. Out of all of these, the ones I would say are worth checking out Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is my number one, obviously, for upcoming games. I think Guard Story looks. I almost said grape. I almost said grape.
I would stab you.
Axiom Verge 2 looks awesome. I'm also very interested in the Metal Slug Tactics game, and I mean Tetris Effect is fucking amazing. And if you have never played Slime Rancher, you should definitely check that out. And last but not least, Eastwood. So like those are the games I would say stood out in this direct for me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. That's a pretty good assessment of what was there. And I think those are the ones that definitely stood out to me too. Like as we've talked through them, in terms of like what they look like and the ones that are most presentable. But like I said, I don't think anything there really looks bad. Like nothing there looks bad. I think there's a lot of creative stuff on display there.
I think the creativity we saw here is what's way like the best part of the entire direct, because that's something you're always going to get with these indie directs, a lot of creative games.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what you hope for at least. You know, you don't want to see like
did you have like, you know, I linked the Nintendo video to the direct. Was that the one you were watching?
Like when I was going through this?
Yeah.
I was using their Twitter because they retweet all their videos.
If you actually go to the video I linked you to, they did something new, which I guess is a new thing that just rolled out. There's chapter select, and all the chapters are named after every individual game, and you can click each individual chapter and watch that part just for that game.
Oh, that is really nice. I don't think they've done that in any of their
It's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah. No, like I said, I just looked at their Twitter because they'll just post individual videos like up on the Twitter. Like they just go through as they go through. And it usually keeps it pretty, like they do it in time with the videos. So they'll be like, because they'll do it as the video's playing.
Yeah.
So I mean that worked pretty well when I was going through it, and it auto plays as you're scrolling through, so you can kind of like see it a little bit, and then just scroll up to the next one when we were talking about it.
Okay.
So it's pretty nice to see it like that because I could just go through it. But that is good to know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
when we do this next time.
Very nice. We'll have to look into that next time. Hopefully they're still doing it then. And
I'm sure
YouTube hasn't taken away that option like they liked it. Well, no, I'm talking about YouTube, because YouTube likes to give, you know, advancements to their platform and then immediately take them away. So.
Well, chapter marks have been there for a long time.
Yeah, but having a drop-down thing on the right side that has every individual game labeled, where you can click to it and it instantly takes you to that spot of the chapter.
Okay, I did not see that.
If you go to the video, like you actually go there, it says chapters, and then it says each game, and once you click one of them, like the Metal Slug, it jumps you to that immediate portion in the video, and it plays just that aspect of the video. It's very nice.
I don't see the chapters.
You don't see it?
No, not like what you're talking about.
Underneath the video?
I see it under the video. I thought, oh, there it goes.
To the right of it? Do you see that?
Okay, now I do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just click it and it's just like boom, there you are in the video, and it's that. Yeah, it's very, very well done.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. Hopefully they can keep doing that. I mean,
yeah,
nice feature for the directs too, even really.
Yeah, I think this would be great for like the state of plays, the directs, like anything like this. Yeah, this would be a great thing to have.
No, that is excellent. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen anything. I've seen videos through chapters before, but I don't ever remember seeing them do it like that.
I've never seen this in YouTube, so I think this is something new.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, that was the Indie Direct, and honestly, I think it's a pretty good showing and lots of good games here.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm kind of surprised. I mean, it's pseudo indie, but I'm surprised that No More Heroes is in it.
So I think No More Heroes is funded by Nintendo this time.
Well,
I think it's a Nintendo exclusive.
Would not surprise me
if I'm not mistaken. Let me give it a little check.
Because I will say, because I remember like one of the last Nintendo Directs. Remember us bitching all about that DC superhero girl game?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was published by Nintendo until months afterwards.
Holy shit. Okay, so this is actually published by Marvelous Entertainment, which is the people that have always published it.
Yeah.
I guess it's just...
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean...
exclusive, yeah.
Nintendo could still be funding it.
Yeah, they could. But like my other point was it wouldn't be considered an indie. It'd probably be in like a partner direct instead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense too. So, but that's coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I already bought it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's good.
I mean, So I've liked all the other No More Hero games up till now. I really like Suda51. Suda51's one of my favorite
I
developers
do
of all
too.
time. You know, so if nothing else, it'll at least be interesting.
Yeah,
But I don't see this not being good. So
I don't think there's any of his games that like actually disliked.
no, I
I think
don't
the
think there
closest
has.
I
I
got
think
was Killer is Dead. That one I
yeah,
wasn't thrilled with.
uh-huh.
And it just seemed very like not notable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember the only things I remember about that game now
Mm-hmm.
after playing it is that it had one of the worst frame rates in a game I've ever played
That's very
and the
true.
worst screen sharing of a game I've ever played.
Also very true.
And it just didn't seem like it had an identity. Like it seemed like it was trying to pull on No More Heroes, but it
So that
wasn't
game
No More Heroes.
actually has a good identity that's really weird. Um, I it's very different, but it takes some time getting to that. Like I don't know if you've finished it, but
I did.
like
I said I just that's just my takeaway from what I remember
you
of it.
remember
Like I
like
remember
people
more of
came
how
from the
bad it was
moon
than it
and they were like aliens and there was like another world on the other side of the
Oh,
moon
I
and
do
shit
remember
like
them
that.
going to the moon now that you talk
Right?
about
Like
it.
that shit's weird. And like that's the kind of thing I immediately think of with Suda51
Yeah.
games. So
But it's
like
like, like Lollipop Chainsaw. Love that
Lollipop
game.
Chainsaw's fucking amazing.
It just had like such great style. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you ever played Flower Sun Rain, but I remember
I
that
did
was
not.
they released that on the original DS.
Have you played the Silver Case?
I played a little bit of it, not enough
Okay.
to remember it.
That
Because
one's
I
very, very difficult. Like it's a difficult game just in general because of all the puzzles and whatnot and
yeah.
how abstract it is. But it still like sticks with me. It's like, what the fuck? You know what I
But we were
mean?
talking about how they did do the dual release on the Switch a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago. I'm actually just kind of pseudo since I remembered it too. One nice thing that Nintendo did this year, because it had to be somewhat recent, is they
Mm-hmm.
finally fixed the whole birthday thing now. Because remember last year for my birthday when they sent out like your like, oh, happy birthday, here's some discounts. And it's like it was discounts for like Wii U and 3DS
Oh
games.
yeah. Okay.
This year they sent out a coupon code for 15% off the eShop.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that. I guess I
I
missed
I
mine.
think it's fairly recent because I've not. This was the first time
I
I've
didn't get
noticed it.
one, so it must have been after February because I did not get one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I feel like you or Nick would have mentioned. I don't remember when Nick's birthday is. I forgot. But yeah, I'm like, this is a surprise. I was like, I was expecting them to be like, hey, do I want 15% off Majora's Mask 3D? Be like, hey, I already own this game. That was the other thing too, because it wasn't off like anything. Like
Hmm.
it was off here's five specific games that you. I think last time I owned all of them, and I was like, oh, thank you so much for discounts on games I already own. Uh, but yeah, no, this one was like 15% off anything. I was like, that's really good, actually. That's
Oh
useful.
shit.
But
So I've got one from 2019, but it was in my spam. So I'm guessing that must have been one of the big issues here.
well, that would do it, yeah.
Um 2019, February 25th, 30% birthday discount. Not even 15. I had a fucking 30%.
Yeah, but is that the one that takes you? Did they give you a coupon code, or did they like click here for 30% off?
Uh,
Because it used to be like, yeah, up to 30% off, but it was like 30% off on like a select list of games that you
maybe
probably already own.
that might have been it. That might have been a select list, but I can't
Because
click it anyway, so it's like
it was
whatever.
usually like you know how they have the Wii U and 3DS games that are on sale in the
Hmm.
eShop, or not the eShop, My Nintendo. When you go there,
Yeah, it's like advertising though. Fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it shows like Mario Odyssey, so like
maybe it was more decent ones. I
yeah.
don't know. I just remember last year when I opened it, it was like Wii U and 3DS games, and I was like, I don't need any of these. Or was it last year? Maybe it's 2 years ago. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's a it's the pandemic times. I don't remember that far back
I
anymore.
totally understand.
But it was nice just to see they gave you just like a code that you could use on anything because it.
Hmm.
I do at least remember in the past
I
it
would
was
have used mine
specific
on No
games.
More Heroes because I mean I paid full price, but then again
I don't think I pre-ordered that one yet, so maybe I could use it on that.
there you go.
because it's good until the end of September. So
nice. I don't have any coupons except for 2019. So, yeah, this must have been more recent.
I don't. Maybe they didn't send one out last year. I don't.
I mean, I didn't get one this year either. Like, my birthday's been and gone, so, you know.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Here's my one from last year. Oh, assholes.
What?
They just gave me 300 platinum points last year.
Yikes.
Like, yeah, that's why I don't remember it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty forgettable.
Yeah, and then the year before it was 30% off, but you had to click on the link and it just took you to the specific one.
Okay.
That's what it was. Well, I said this year they literally sent you like, here's this code to use on the online store.
You mean they sent you, not me?
No, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe you just kept them getting sent to the junk mail and they're just like, maybe.
I just searched all mail and there's nothing in here.
No, I'm saying like maybe after getting sent there for a while, they're like, maybe this email's not valid anymore.
No, I don't have anything auto delete my mail. I have 21,000 junk mail emails right now. So,
it's a lot.
Yeah, I definitely need to delete those.
I guess otherwise, I don't have anything else to talk about.
No, me either. I mean, I did get a email telling me today that, oh shit, what is it? Writers Republic. You know, that one thing that looked interesting from the Ubisoft conference that had like, hang gliding, biking, you know, free falling, all that like stuff, like combined into like a 50-player game, that sort of deal. I got invited to the beta of it, and it's on the 23rd. So,
oh, that'd be good.
So I'll have maybe that to talk about. I don't know if I can. It just says beta. Out. It doesn't say closed or open yet. So
we will find out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it's good.
Yeah, this is something I'm really looking forward to, and I opted to play this one on PS4 because, like, I mean PS5. Sorry, I was reading the PS4 thing that said the PS5 version because, like, I feel like Ubisoft games are kind of a crapshoot on PC. They either are pretty good or they're absolute ass, and I didn't want to take that chance.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ubisoft definitely is a company that I don't think they start with PC. Like, I think they port it to PC.
And I think their biggest issue is their PC versions. They make them take up way too much CPU power, and as such, it can cause a lot of issues with the game itself. Unless you have like the highest of the high-end CPU, and it's just like, okay, even then, like the game's got, you know, technical issues and whatnot. So, yeah, not worth it. Not worth playing Ubisoft games on PC, in my opinion.
Fair.
Unless it's like Rainbow Six Siege is fucking solid. It's just a great game all around. That one's worth playing. But like your Assassin's Creed and those kind of games, it's just not worth your time. Yeah, that's it for me. I'm done. But what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was saying, I mean, they also play wonderfully on the consoles anyway. So just
absolutely.
But yeah, no, that's all I got. So you ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us this week. Feel free to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. And if you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
I stream every Friday at 8 p.m. This week's stream is Paint the Town Red, and I think we're gonna try Back for Blood again, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know we're playing Paint the Town Red, and in case you don't know what Paint the Town Red is, it is a beat 'em up that's in first person, where the point of the game is you are in a scenario such as a bar fight breaks out and then everyone starts fighting, and the point of the game is for you to kill everyone in that level in order to win. It's very like over the top, you know, but gory and that sort of deal, but it's done with a voxel style. So like everyone's like Minecraft voxels basically, and it's very neat because pretty much anything that you see can be used as a weapon. So like you can pick up like the bar stool and beat someone over the head with it, and this, that, and the other. And it's got up to 4-player co-op, so we're going to be playing it all together this week with me and Katie and GP. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like it should be.
It's releasing on consoles in the future, and I would recommend this game. It's awesome.
Okay.
And
And
that's it for me. I'm done. I got nothing else.
all right. Well, that's it. Then. My name's Mike Anastasia. You can find me online at Clutch Penguin on Twitter, your favorite gaming console. Until next week, game on.
Game on. Oh, Tetris Effect's amazing.
It looks amazing, but I'm just like, I already have Tetris. I'm like, I don't need a second one.
Okay, all right. Can I sell you on it? Because it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Of course.
Wait, maybe I should do it during the podcast.
Yeah,
You know, we do that thing. Maybe I should remember that.